It's Beth Adams with Realty One Group Mountain Desert, and I just wanted to review the real estate contract, the Arizona real estate purchase contract for buying a home. And very quickly, this is the first page, and you see where it has big bold letters. That means it's really important for you to pay attention to this right here, attention buyer. So this is giving us some instructions as a buyer. The very first thing is that you want to make sure that you're reading the entire contract before you sign it. That's very important. We want to make sure that you understand everything that you're signing before you put your name to it. You're going to want to review the seller's property disclosure statement, and that is going to be provided to you from the seller once you're under contract. We're going to want to review the inspection paragraph of the contract, confirm your ability to obtain insurance and the insurability of the property during your inspection period. You will need to have homeowner's insurance on the home if you have a loan on the home. Apply for your home loan and make sure you follow through with the responsibility of obtaining the loan if you are financing the home purchase. Read the title commitment that you will receive from the title company, and we'll make sure we go over that with you once you receive it. Read any CC&Rs and governing documents that apply to the property. Again, we'll do that with you, but we want to make sure you understand that's an important part of the purchase process, and you do that. And then, of course, we conduct a pre-closing walkthrough to make sure that the property is acceptable to you right before we close on the property. And if you are not available to do that pre-closing walkthrough, you can designate someone to do it for you. Our very first part of the actual purchase contract that we're going to fill in is this first section is regarding the property. So we have all the information about the property. This is going to include the buyer and seller. And then, of course, the legal details of the property address, the legal description. What you're asking to purchase the property for, your earnest deposit, your down payment, and then your loan amount will go on these lines. How you're going to be paying for your earnest deposit, and then instructions on when we need to get that earnest money into the escrow company. When you would like to close on the sale of the property, when you're going to take possession of the property, and any addendum that we're adding to the purchase contract. As we go on to page 2, this is continuing on with the property section of the contract. We're talking about the fixtures and personal property that are going to transfer with the home. A lot of the fixtures are built in, and they're listed here alphabetically with which would stay with the property. Any additional existing personal property that would convey with the home at no additional cost will be listed out here. Section 2 is all about financing in the contract. So this is going to talk about your loan details and the terms of your loan and what you need to do in order to fulfill your loan contingency. As we go on to page 3, we are going to continue to talk about the financing section. Who's going to pay for the appraisal? Is the seller going to be giving you money for you to receive your loan? And that closes out our financing section. Section 3 talks about title and escrow. This is where we're going to name our title company that we would like to use. And our title is going to be our neutral third party that is going to help the two sides of the party, the buyer and seller, communicate together and to make sure that the paperwork goes to both parties. This is where we'll name the title company, and then this is instructions to the title company on what they need to do for us in order to successfully close the contract. And this section on title continues over to page 4. As we go on, we have section 4, which is disclosure. This tells the buyer what the seller is going to be disclosing to them and when those disclosures need to be made. You will be receiving several disclosures from the seller, and you will get that as soon as we go under contract and we have an accepted offer. Section 5, as we roll into page 5, discusses warranties. This is really important. You can see again where we have big bold lettering. The property is being sold in its current present physical condition, which means that how the property sits today is how you'll be purchasing the property, unless you decide to negotiate repairs with the seller, and that is a negotiation. It also tells you what warranties the sellers are going to give you that survive closing. The seller is going to leave the premises in broom-swept condition with no debris in it, except for if you're purchasing a tenant-occupied property. The seller also warranties that they will be disclosing any material and adverse defects that exist within the property that they know about, that all payments to laborers and contractors will be made prior to the close of escrow, that they have made the proper disclosures regarding the sewer system or on-site wastewater treatment facility system that exists on the property. And then the buyer warranties are discussing what you're going to warrant to the seller. And this is just explaining that if you have anything that we need to disclose that could affect your ability to purchase the property, we need to make sure that we are disclosing that upfront. Section 6 is your due diligence, and that talks about you as a buyer, your inspection period. Typically, our inspection period is a 10-day time frame, which allows you to investigate everything you would like to know about the property, including square footage, termites, if the property resides in an extreme flood zone, if you can obtain homeowners insurance on the property, what type of sewer or on-site wastewater treatment system exists at the property, if there's a swimming pool at the property. And this explains once your inspection period is over and you've done all of the inspections that you would like, how do we address that with the seller? At that point in time, it's your opportunity to decide whether or not you want to continue on with the purchase of the property now that you have gotten to know the property a little bit more. At this point in time, it is also your opportunity to request repairs from the seller, and this section explains those repair requests. As we move on through, we are continuing to talk about your due diligence. This is your opportunity to decide if you would like a home warranty plan. It explains your rights to do walkthroughs and the seller's responsibility regarding making the home available for inspections and walkthroughs. It also talks about if you're a foreign national and your IRS responsibilities if you're purchasing as a foreign national. Section 7 discusses remedies. This is in case we have a whoopsie during the contract period and we have a breach of contract. How do we resolve those breaches? And what are your options if we need to go further down the line with those options? Section 8 talks about additional terms and conditions. This is if we have anything we would like to add into the contract that is not already there. This is where we would put that in. Section 8 continues on page 9 of the contract, and page 9 really talks about the legal items that explain how the contract runs, what happens if there's a risk of loss. This is giving you permission to make the sale of the contract public knowledge after the sale has completed, reminding you that this contract is an Arizona contract governed by Arizona law. That if we discuss time periods in the contract, time is of the essence, and we will abide by those time periods. Compensation for the listing broker and the selling broker are made outside of this contract agreement in a separate agreement. Copies and counterparts can create a whole document, and those can come together separately. All days referenced in the contract are calendar days, not business days, so we work weekends as well. And then calculating time periods. If we are calculating time periods, our day runs until 11:59 in the evening. The entire agreement between the buyer and seller, this written agreement supersedes any other written or verbal agreements. So we need to make sure if there's anything verbal that you've discussed with the seller or the seller's agent, that we put that in the contract in writing. The seller can accept subsequent backup offers, and any cancellation that occurs needs to be in writing. Notices need to be delivered and can be delivered electronically. And this is a nice big bold section discussing that you are not going to hold the brokers responsible for any information regarding the property as we have not lived there. Term of acceptance, this is when the seller needs to respond to our offer to make it a valid contract. And this is where we put in the broker's information, where the buyer, you, would sign, and then once we have seller acceptance, where the seller's broker information goes and where the seller would sign. And that is a quick overview of the Arizona purchase contract. Again, if you have any questions, please be sure to reach out to us prior to you signing your paperwork. Thanks so much.